I'm Sam Otten, and with me is Jason Book, and we're going to be talking about the DC Comics news about the quote unquote end of New 52, and also how that might relate to the Convergence event, which is coming in April, May of 2015. So, Jason, what are kind of your thoughts about the New 52, which we've had around for several years now, and also this news that it's going to be sort of ending, but it's not quite the cancellation that a lot of people are making it out to be?
Well, first off, I thought the new 52 was a real gutsy move by DC, and for most books and characters, it's really paid off. I can imagine people watching Arrow and Flash and things like that and saying, I want to watch, pick up a Flash comic, being a little less intimidated picking up a number 20 of Flash versus, 400 or whatever it would have been. So that was a huge thing about it. And then they also did good things like Batman chose what continuity it wanted to include from previous, incarnations, and so did Superman.
Hmm.
So to me, I thought it was really great. It kind of gave the creators a fresh look on things if they wanted, but they didn't necessarily have to ignore what came before. So I think this is kind of a weird move to me. It seems something that's really convoluted and confusing to someone unless they're a longtime DC fan. I like the idea of Convergence as a cool crossover storyline, but I think when it's all said and done, taking the number, the title of New 52 off the books isn't that big of a deal, but keeping that continuity might be something that they would be, considering to keep with keeping
Hmm.
new readers and things like that.
Yeah, and just like to build on what you were saying, my interpretation of the press release from Dan Didio is that they're taking the emblem off of the
Hmm.
books, New 52,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be the 52. It's, not even close to the 52 anymore because I think they're just keeping around 24 books.
Right.
But those 24 books are continuing their numbering, and they
Mm-hmm.
might even be continuing in the exact continuity. It'll just all depend on how Convergence plays out.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not striking down New 52 and then going to whole hog like replace it with something new. So I don't think it's really fair for people to say like, oh, they've completely abandoned New 52.
Right.
And for me, like in my background on it, I agree with a lot of stuff you said, like getting Batman back to Bruce Wayne and like picking that kind of stuff. And for me, I've been following the Superman stuff a lot, and I've
Mm-hmm.
definitely enjoyed kind of getting back to a younger Superman and kind of having him go up again, which I think
Yeah.
is good with like Man of Steel. If
Mm-hmm.
people picked up Superman comics because of that, it's kind of nice to pick up a Superman that's at least in the earlier years of his career instead of
Totally.
like been around, been married, like had all this stuff, been dead before and then
Mm-hmm.
back, like
Yeah,
all those
exactly.
things. So I agreed with a lot of that. And then also for me personally, so I was reading comics back when I was younger, and then I'd kind of like drifted off for a while during college and stuff. And the New 52, just kind of like it was intended to do, it actually did get me back into the comic shop like much more regularly and actually start picking up books every month. So I have to really give New 52 credit for that.
Yeah.
Um, and I was following the sales figures just because I was curious about how New 52 is going to work out. And I know the sales figures actually did, increase for DC at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of New 52.
Big time.
But now they're back down and Marvel is like pretty dominant again.
Mm.
I don't think that's really a failure of New 52 though. I think that's just the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe like translating over into comics and all that stuff. And I
Definitely.
think it's more just Marvel's success. It's not really like that the New 52 was like a horrible thing to do.
No, and in fairness too, like Batman and certain books like the Superman run have always been right up there. I think in the top 10. So
Yeah,
when they've
yeah.
got
Batman
the
and Justice League are still,
yeah,
up there with Marvel's top books and stuff.
exactly, yeah.
So Convergence now, like they're setting up Convergence with the Future's End type things that have been going on. So I haven't actually been reading all Future's End, but I kind of know what's happening. That Brainiac is collecting cities and planets, and
Hmm.
Brainiac, I believe, is actually collecting things from different universes in the multiverse,
Right.
and he's putting them on some like planet that's outside of time and space or something.
Hmm.
So you can have these cities or planets from different universes now together. And I think for Convergence, Brainiac is going to like let them loose. So you're going
Mm.
to actually have interactions between characters from different universes. And it looks like they're going like pretty hardcore. Like I've heard there's Kingdom Come. It looks like
Hmm.
there's going to be Red Sun. There's
Right.
going to be, Flashpoint universe, New 52 universe, all kinds of stuff. So
Hmm.
that's going to be crazy how they're going to handle all of that happening. But what are your thoughts on just that idea of Brainiac kind of letting this loose and how they might manage, all these universes in one space.
Well, I like the idea of Brainiac getting more kind of a billing as kind of a badass in the DC universe, and being behind something like this. Part of me would have might wanted to see this more as like a big Superman crossover, where it could have kind of an effect on the DC universe in general after this. This seems really like a great idea, but this kind of bringing characters from different universes and stuff, they've done this before.
Hmm.
I think it was called Countdown, and you had like the characters appearing like Countdown Arena, where it was like different Batmans fighting from all the multiverse and things like that. I mean, this will be a different execution of it, but I have seen this kind of thing before. They actually did bring some of the Kingdom Come characters into current DC continuity and the Jeff Johns JSA run as well. So to me, including Brainiac is something new and kind of doing a huge crossover. But bringing characters from other universes is nothing new to me. It's all about how it comes through at the end of it. And if it seems too confusing and too convoluted, just so you can get someone back in underwear on the front of their pants, I don't know if it's worth it to me. I'm definitely going to check it out. But I read something like there was going to be like a whole bunch of issues leading into a mini series, and for the general public, that might be too many, stories to kind of absorb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it starts April 1st, and I believe there's a 9-issue storyline that's actually going to come out weekly,
Okay.
April 1st. I don't
Yeah.
know if this. It's a little shady that they're starting this April 1st, April Fool's Day, because I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, can we trust anything that happens April 1st?
Yeah, no doubt.
But there's going to be 9 in a row that are the main like Convergence title
Right.
weekly, and then there's going to be like 40 2-issue or like 2-off tie-ins,
Okay.
and those are going to be written by various people because I guess like the DC offices are actually moving over to Burbank, California. So a lot of this
Yeah.
is also practical, like to give a lot of
Right.
the main writers and artists and stuff a chance to relocate if they're
Mm-hmm.
going to the Burbank place,
Mm-hmm.
or at least like the administrative staff and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's gonna like I'm hoping that the 9 issues that are the main part of Convergence, I'm hoping that that kind of hangs together on its own
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have the money to spare to like
Yeah.
be picking up all 40 of
Yeah, it's
the
pretty
double issue
crazy,
tie-ins or
right?
whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like as a mini series that has like over, it'll have affect the whole DC universe. I like that, but 40 tie-ins is pretty crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people are curious, like to get ready for it, I did. So I followed Superman Doomed over the last summer,
Yeah.
and I reviewed it here on YouTube. And in the very end of Superman Doomed, Superman Doomed #2, the last page of that is a tease of Convergence, and that's where you see like Superman with his red trunks.
Right.
And then I guess another one was for Forever Evil, which was like also a previous big event with the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Forever Evil #7, there was a tease for the Anti-Monitor, which like
Right.
if you're doing multi-universe stuff and then you have teased the Anti-Monitor recently, it seems like he would come into play. But I know that the actual villain for Convergence is supposed to be this new guy, Talos.
Oh, okay.
Talos.
Interesting.
So he's somehow like comes out of that planet where Brainiac has let everybody free. So I'm curious. I'm not actually sure how it's all going to play out.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. The whole thing about this and the 52 and the original continuity got me thinking of sometimes, I don't know, like having these crossovers are a great idea, but I think that these companies could really benefit from having like kind of 3 continuities at once. One is like the current one, whatever the new 52 or the current Marvel now is for them. Then you could have your continuity of kind of the older style tales where you could tell anything set from the past until then, and then kind of a future continuity like a what if or an Elseworlds continuity. And I think within those 3 realms of storytelling, you're really free to do whatever you want. I mean, if a Superman story is good and it doesn't follow continuity, it doesn't matter. If it's a good
Right.
story, it's a good story.
Yeah, I'm with you. And so, I mean, one thing that I think is promising with post-convergence DC Comics is saying the way I took it is that they're not going to worry as much about continuity. They're going to just say, we want our storytellers to bring good stories and we're going to put them out there.
That
And they're
sounds
also going to
good.
try to diversify. There's going to be a gay character with his own title. There's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be more kind of humorous, like, lighthearted titles. But I think the main thing that I took from that is bring a good story and tell it. And as long as it has coherence within your story, Like for me, I don't trace and I don't care if everything lines up with everything else.
No,
I
yeah.
like to just get into a good story and enjoy that good story.
Yeah,
Um,
the coolest things in a story is when something gets referenced in another story. It doesn't have to have like every plot point hit, but say like in a Justice League story, if Wonder Woman said, "Oh yeah, I remember this guy," and it's like from 5 issues ago, she got her ass kicked by him or something like that.
mhm.
Those are the cool kind of things you could do, and it doesn't matter about following exact storylines from years past.
Right. I think
Yeah,
yeah, I think that kind of stuff can help, but like the stuff that I don't worry about is like, oh, if Batman is over here
yeah, yeah.
in this month, how can he also be over here? And like I
Oh,
don't really worry
totally.
about that stuff. I just think about what's happening in that story.
Yeah, that's like something right out of a comic book guy argument on The Simpsons or something like that. Yeah, and when you mentioned diversify, we've both talked before about having some more kid-friendly content could really do well for DC to kind of throw more books, kind of like Tiny Titans or whatever in there that kids could pick up and want to read, and not feel like it's, too over their head or something like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the new Cyborg book is like maybe not kid, but like is
Yeah.
at least like, young enough where young school kids could enjoy the Cyborg book. It looks like they're
Hmm.
going to do some stuff with Bizarro that I think could be good and kids might kind
Interesting.
of enjoy. And
Well, that's
yeah,
cool.
I agree with that too.
Right on.
So, all right, a lot coming. So around April, we might have to get back together. I am planning to follow the at least the main 9 issues of Convergence, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll definitely have to give those a read too.